Hello there guys, welcome back to another maths video. In this video, we're going to prove the result in the top right of your screen, this guy up here. Now, as interesting as the result is on its own merit, we're actually also going to use it in a later video to find the moment generating function for a negative binomial random variable because we need this result. So if you don't care about moment generating functions, do not worry because this is still interesting enough as it is. We're going to use some differentiation, we're going to use some geometric series. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff, so stick around and let's have some fun here, derive it. First thing that we're going to do is start from a result that we all will agree on, and that is the following. Voila! This is the sum to infinity for a geometric series. Okay, so it's just a normal geometric, it's 1 over 1 minus q, where q is the first, well, 1 is the first term, and q is the common ratio, and that's all we've got. So hopefully we agree that this is absolutely true, and we can go from here. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to differentiate both sides of it. And you can differentiate term by term in this infinite sum. Sometimes you can't, but here, take my word for it, because it's quite complicated, you certainly can. So if we differentiate both sides, what we will get is that the sum from t equals 0 to infinity of t times q to the t minus 1 is equal to minus 1 comes down, this is the chain rule, minus 1 comes down, derivative of the inside is also minus 1, and then take 1 off the power. So 1 minus q to the power of minus 2. So if we differentiate once, this is the first derivative of both sides, we get this result here. That's lovely enough as it is. Let's take the second derivative of both sides. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to find a pattern so that I can take a number of derivatives. I want to take specifically r minus 1 derivatives. We'll look at that in a second. So if I do that, if I differentiate the left-hand side, I will get this. And if I differentiate the right-hand side, again, via the chain rule, I will get 2 times 1 minus q to the power of minus 3. Let's just take one more derivative to see what happens in this pattern. So I've got the sum from t equals 0 to infinity of t times t minus 1 times t minus 2 times q to the power of t minus 3 is equal to, this is going to be 6 times 1 minus q to the power of minus 4, okay? So you could prove this by induction if you like, but take my word for it that hopefully we can see that the nth derivative is going to be the sum from t equals 0 to infinity of t times t minus 1 and so on and so forth until we get to t minus n minus 1 to the power of q, so multiplied by q to the power of t minus n equals n factorial times 1 minus q to the minus n plus 1. I'm just going to move out of the way of that. You could pause it and convince yourself that this is the pattern. Again, this is something that you could maybe try and prove by induction, but I'm just going to present it to you now just in the interest of the video not being 100 years long. Okay, so this is a really nice result that we have here, and all I'm going to do, instead of using n, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and I'm going to use r minus 1. That's the one we want, and the reason why I want to do that is so that I can get 1 minus q to the minus r. That's what I want, because that appears here. Obviously they're using the letter k, but that doesn't matter. So I'm going to find the r minus 1th derivative. I'm just plugging it into this little formula that I've got here. So it's going to be the sum from t equals 0 to infinity of t times t minus 1 all the way down to t minus, this is going to be r minus 2 times q to the t minus r minus 1, like that, equals r minus 1 factorial times 1 minus q to the minus r, okay? So I've just done the exact same thing, but instead of using n's, I have used r minus 1 instead. So we've got this result here. So now I'm going to clear the board, rewrite this at the top, and we can keep going. It might seem a little bit random, but you'll see how it all comes into place. Okay, so I've written it back at the top and we can keep going. So what we can do, because notice we've got t times t minus 1 all the way down to t minus r plus 2. Whenever you see a bunch of terms multiplying together in a decreasing way like this, it might scream, is it a factorial divided by another factorial? Is that something that we could do? And yes, that is definitely something that we can do. We just have to be a little bit careful with the indexing, because if I do t factorial divided by a bunch of other stuff, I could come into some issues because I'm starting from t equals 0. So if I'm not careful, if I do t minus r or something like that, I could end up with some negative number factorials, which is not good. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the sum in such a way that I don't change the value of it at all, but I'm just going to start counting from a different place. So notice that when t is 0, the left-hand side is 0 anyway, because it's 0 times a bunch of stuff. When t is 2, same problem. Or when t is 1, same problem, because I've got 1, or here I've got 1, and then I've got times 0, and so on. So that's all 0 as well. When t is 2, I once again have the same problem, because I've got t times t minus 1, and then I've got a t minus 2. That's going to make 0. So all of those terms are just going to be 0 and 0 and 0 again. So I can just kind of not count them. I can just start counting after I've gone past all of those zeros. When is the last time that I'm going to have a 0? Well, I've got t minus r plus 2 here. So what I really need is for that to be 1 or bigger. So what I need is t minus r plus 2 to be the number 1 or bigger than that. So that means that I've got t minus r bigger than or equal to minus 1. So I should start when t minus r is bigger than or equal to minus 1. In other words, when t is bigger than or equal to r minus 1. So if I just start counting from when t is r minus 1, I'm not going to change anything, and I don't run into any issues that we're going to do in the next line of working out that you will see. So I'm just going to rewrite this again, t times t minus 1, etc., t minus r plus 2 here, etc. Okay, cool. Now what we can do is the factorial stuff. So let's rewrite once again. Again, we're starting from t equals r minus 1. We're going to infinity. And here I've got, again, this factorial idea. I definitely should have a t factorial on the numerator, and I should divide it because I don't have the entirety of t factorial. I'm missing terms out. They need to get deleted, right? I've got t times t minus 1 times t minus 2, all the way until I get to t minus r plus 2, but then all the terms less than that are not present, so I need to divide them out because this t factorial is including them, okay? So I need to get rid of them. So down here I should divide by t minus r plus 1 factorial, because the last term to appear is t minus r plus 2. The next term after that would be t minus r plus 1, and I don't want those terms. That's why that's there. And then I've still got q to the power of t minus r minus 1 equals r minus 1 factorial times 1 minus q to the minus r. And I'm going to rub this out as well. Okay, it's looking good so far. Now what we can do is divide both sides by r minus 1 factorial, because in the result, 1 minus q to the minus k is all on its own, and there's an r minus 1 factorial there. And I've not addressed this yet, but we need to use the n choose r thing, and you may be able to see once the r minus 1 factorial comes over here, we can use that to get the x minus 1 choose k minus 1. So we've got the sum from t equals r minus 1 to infinity of t factorial divided by, I'm going to write this as r minus 1 factorial times t minus, and then I'm going to replace the minus r plus 1 with a minus in brackets r minus 1 to make it look extra nice. You can see this is basically just that formula, but I'll get onto that in a second. Okay, so this is what we've got now. And as I just said, we can replace all of this factorial stuff with just the n choose r. So I've got, once again, I've got the sum from t equals r minus 1 to infinity of, and this is just going to be t choose r minus 1, just like that. And I've still got q to the t minus r minus 1 there, and this is still equal to 1 minus q to the power of minus r. Okay, it's really coming together very nicely now, right? It's really looking quite good. So the only thing we now have to deal with is the indexing problem, because here we have a t and up here there's an x minus 1, and it starts from x equals some number k, whereas here we're starting from t equals r minus 1. So it's a simple fix. This t should be an x minus 1, so let's simply do that. Let's just let t be x minus 1 and see what happens. And again, I'm going to put this at the top so we have more space. Okay, so there it is once again, and again we're saying that t should be x minus 1. Let's actually follow that through. So now we have the sum from x minus 1 equals r minus 1 to infinity of x minus 1 choose r minus 1 times q to the power of x minus 1, and then I've got in brackets r minus 1, subtract r minus 1, I'm going to expand that out. So I've got minus r and then a plus 1 equals 1 minus q to the minus r. Okay, cool. Now we can just rearrange. So the sum from x minus 1 equals r minus 1, that's just x equals r to infinity. X minus 1 choose r minus 1, that's fine as it is. And then we've got q to the power of x minus 1 minus r plus 1. That's obviously just x minus r, and that's equal to 1 minus q to the power of minus r. And that's actually the result proven. Of course, all we have to do to make it perfectly match, because I've just used a different letter of the alphabet, instead of r, we can just use k. I'm not 100% sure why I've chosen to use r when it was k, but obviously it doesn't matter. It's the same result. It's just using a different letter of the alphabet. So this is what we've got. And the final thing you may be wondering about is the modulus, the magnitude of q needs to be less than 1. The only reason this is true is because our initial assumption was that line about the geometric series, right? When does the geometric series converge? When the common ratio is less than 1. The magnitude of the common ratio is less than 1. Q is the common ratio, so this is only true when the magnitude of this number is less than 1, because that was the very, very, very first line of our working out. It was making the assumption that the series actually converged. So in order for this to be the case, we do need the magnitude, the modulus, or the maginus, if you want to mix them up, needs to be less than 1. But there's our result. And as I said at the beginning of the video, why would you want to use this? It's a bit random. Well, when we derive the moment generating function for the negative binomial distribution, we're actually going to use this, and it's going to be super sweet. So stick around for that if you're interested, and that'll be one of the next videos. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.